hear about this. I think when you hear the word entrepreneur, most people think men. But let me tell you, this is a dynamic trio that's going to show you that entrepreneurialism is for all of us. Not for men, not for women, and not just for veterans, but veterans seem to be able to nail it pretty well. So I'm really anxious for everybody to share their story. I'm going to work hard to keep us within the hour that we have some screen time going here. But I think that the stories you're going to hear today are going to be inspirational, maybe a little funny, maybe a little, my gosh, I didn't see that coming kind of thing. So, but let's get started. I'm going to give you each just a minute to introduce yourselves. We'll start with Melodie.
Hi, my name is Melodie Cook from Columbus, Ohio, and I'm the chef, owner, operator of Mother Mel's Wholesome Diner. It's a mobile vending food trailer serving health-conscious casual cuisine.
Good morning, my name is Jasmin Hurley. I'm from Washington Courthouse, Ohio, so repping the rural areas here. Yay, no, okay. I am the founder and principal attorney at JH Legal LLC. I provide proactive legal solutions for small to medium businesses, startups, and nonprofits with a focus in our metropolitan areas and our rural areas as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlynda Scales. I'm a Tennessean that's been in Ohio for a long time because of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I started my first business, Mutt Sauce, which is a barbecue sauce. It's manufactured in Dayton. I started that while I was on active duty. We're at 11 years now. And I also serve as the executive director of the O-Taste Foundation, which built the 6888 Kitchen Incubator in Dayton, Ohio.
And I'm Debbie Ashenhurst, the director of the Department of Veteran Services. Let's jump right into it, because to see where you all are today, I just want to know, why in the world did you start in the military? We'll start with you, Charlynda.
Well, I'm proud to say I'm a fourth-generation veteran, a first officer in my family. My grandfather was in the Korean-Vietnam War, and he made the Air Force sound like a really good gig, so.
Even with Vietnam?
Yeah, even through all of that. Just the love of service runs in our family, so that was an easy decision for me to make when I got to college.
So glad. Jasmin.
I have a similar story to Charlynda, where military background, but my grandfather, my uncles were in the Navy, and my mother broke ranks and joined the Army. So my father, mother, stepfather, stepbrother, myself, my brothers all joined the Army.
Family business.
But I decided that I was then going to further break ranks and anchor my uncle and my grandfather by going to West Point. And they were very, very upset as naval folks that I went there. They asked why. I said, I can't swim very well. Why would you want me on a boat? And so I joined the Army out of West Point, and for me, it was a matter of continuing that service, but also doing something different from what everybody else had done in my family.
All right, Melodie.
Well, my story is, my father was an Air Force veteran, and he told me to go to the Air Force. I took the test and passed the test for the Air Force and the Army offered me a $14,000 bonus, so that's why I went to the Army. And they had a shortage of cooks, so I became a food service specialist, and then re-enlisted and was nuclear chemical sergeant.
I have to say, that confused me. Do you use your biochemistry stuff in your cooking?
I did both. So I have the cooking, and then I know how to make the other things.
Yeah, that did. It piqued my interest, and I got a little concerned. But I will say that one of my coworkers says that he's found your food truck, and it's really good stuff. So, okay, I'm not going to worry about the bio stuff anymore, biohazards on that. So do you think that the military influenced you to where you are today, to become who you have become? Charlynda?
I think the one thing that sticks with me most are my core values. And my grandfather, without teaching me, I could learn the core values by watching how he operated, and my uncles who were also in the different services. So when people see the work that I do, I pride myself on knowing that I put my values first. And you can see that in the day-to-day, when I'm interacting with people, relationships. I want to make sure that they're having a great experience, and I give them excellence every time.
I would expect nothing less. So did the military drive you? You weren't JAG.
No, I was not.
So you were in the military, earned a Bronze Star, you've done your battle thing. So what brought you into the world of law?
So I have always wanted to be an attorney. So becoming a JAG was the intent. Telling my age a little bit, I watched the JAG show when I was younger, the sitcom. And then when I realized you weren't solving mysteries every single day, and it was actually not as fun and intriguing, I pivoted a little bit. I was a military police officer, so I spent time in law enforcement, legal adjacent, for a little bit. But after leaving the military in 2011 and working in corporate America, I said, you know what, this is something where I feel like this is my destiny. This is something I want to do when I was younger. The values of providing guidance, providing some different way for people to be able to navigate their lives is important to me, and it's something that I bring to the practice of law. You know, for me, I have knowledge that is important that other people have so that they can make their lives better, and that is really important to me. And so finding a way to do that outside of the military in the legal profession has been absolutely fantastic. And, you know, every day I wake up and I'm excited to do that.
I love it. All right, Melodie, what do you think?
So for me, my great-grandmother was my influence of cooking. So from the age of 3, we had the chicken coop in the backyard over off of High Avenue. And so when we went to Smith Farms and picked the greens, and so I started cooking at an early age, and then going to the military, being a cook, it was so amazing. And then I learned how to drive the 2.5 and 5-ton truck because I had to transport food. And then coming back out, I have 2 sons, and they were in every sport that I could put them in. And so I was that team mom. I cooked every meal for Friday night football, for the baseball games. And so it was over 70 to 100 children, and the coaches, that's why sometimes they didn't win, because they were eating. So I just got into always catering or helping people with birthdays and weddings. And then my husband said, why don't you do this for yourself? So.
Thank you, Mr. Cook.
And I just ended up I didn't want to be in a brick and mortar. So I ended up with my Mother Mel's Wholesome Diner food trailer. And I just launched last year, June 15th of 2024.
Awesome. Now, what I thought of and thought this came out is that when the Army is in a field environment, the chef or the cooks actually cook out of a trailer. I forget, it's called an MRMT something or other. It's something mobile trailer, MKT, mobile kitchen trailer. And I thought, well, maybe that's what drove you to this, because you were experienced with having to cook in a small space and then serve it outside of it. And
we had a tent. We didn't have the trailer in the Army. So we were
You weren't
outside.
that much older than me. You can't be. Well, awesome, lady. I'm just glad. So do you think that skills that you learned, I'm pretty sure because of your values, I love your values, the way that has carried forward. But do you think that has influenced the way you conduct your business? Let's start with you, Melodie.
Most definitely. Discipline is very important. Just if you're not disciplined, and the military taught us to be disciplined and on time and timely, then you're not going to be successful as you would like to be. You can't be all over the place. You have to plan your work your plan and plan your work. So knowing what your plan is, what your 5 to-do things on your list every day, and to incorporate it in that business. And then also knowing that you must rest and rejuvenate to do self-care. So without taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your business.
So I got to ask you, so if you're going through your little list of 5 things, if you do something that isn't on the list, do you add it so you can check it off?
It rolls over to the next day. So whatever the 5 things do not get done starting at the beginning of the day, because we all got 24 hours. So within that 24 hours, you must attempt to accomplish those 5 tasks.
I love the discipline. You very much picked up the discipline of the Army.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks so much. Jasmin.
2 things. The first was detail, being very detail oriented. I will say I was definitely not detail oriented while I was in the military. I was a plans officer for my battalion plans officer, and I always joke that had I realized practicing law was similar to that, I might have taken a little bit of a beat. But as a plans officer, it's long days, planning, operations orders, warnos, a lot of very detailed instructions. As an attorney now, I do the same thing, a lot of very detailed instructions, long days with paperwork, and if things are not right, people aren't dying. I'm a corporate attorney. People aren't dying, which is great. But things can go wrong, and it can definitely cost people money. The other thing is the adaptability. So sometimes things happen, and I have to be a little bit more reactive in my profession with clients where I don't get to my 5 different things. So I have to give myself a little bit of grace, and then I have to figure out how do I either add that to the next day, adjust, or put up some boundaries to say, look, this is maybe not an issue, or hey, it's 9 o'clock at night. We can definitely take care of this tomorrow, or understanding what a true emergency is and then communicating that to folks.
You have reaffirmed that I did the right thing, not becoming an attorney, for sure.
It's not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
I'm glad there are people like you. Yes. Charlynda.
So, I've owned Mutt Sauce for 11 years, and when I first started out, I was on active duty, so I don't know why I thought that I could juggle both, but I attempted to for 2 years. And the one thing I want you to think about is you do not have to feel qualified to be qualified. And that is something that took years for me to understand, that the military had already instituted this. I've gone into assignments where I had no clue. But there's an expectation, because you're wearing that uniform and you happen to be the program management lead of this program, that you're gonna get it done. You might be scared out of your mind, but don't let that keep you from getting the job done. In 2008, I was the program manager in charge of the 2008 California wildfires. I was in my 20s. Now, most of my friends were talking about where they're going on vacation, or maybe they're just hanging out at O'Charlie's, and I'm trying to keep California from burning down. Okay? It's a good resume thing, too. But when I got to be an entrepreneur, my grandfather gave me a recipe that he made in 1956. And it was literally a piece of paper. So he had already passed. My grandfather passed before I started Mutt Sauce. And I had a lot of reservations because I wasn't a cook. I was not a chef. I didn't go to culinary school. But I have a recipe that everyone in my family wanted. And it was up to me to do something with it. And so that's why I said I did not feel qualified. But I knew that my grandfather wouldn't do something this large of a gesture without feeling like I could get it done, whatever it is. And so I sought that mentorship, started the company, did active duty for 2 years, and I'm still a reservist at Wright-Patterson. But that right there is what stuck with me, is no matter what you're feeling, if you can see it, there's a vision that you have for what you want your life to look like, or something that you want to achieve, that means you are qualified to do it because you can see it.
If you need motivation, go to TEDx and listen to Charlynda's TED Talks. You will be very motivated. So look, we had a young lady up here just a few minutes ago who is in construction, but wants to be a doctor and wants to go to the military. So we were talking about pivot points. And obviously she's gonna have to make a pretty decisive pivot. So Jasmin, let's start with you, because you said we're gonna talk about pivot points today. So talk to me about it, but I would also like to hear a little bit about the Ohio Chamber of Commerce for Veterans that you were just part of the institution of.
Yeah.
Made that happen.
Yeah, so let's talk about pivots real quick. I like to say I'm becoming way too comfortable at pivots. So I used to work I used to work across the street there and across the street there at larger law firms. And they were, what I like to say, my training grounds. That's where I learned to practice law. But this last year, I made the pivot into owning my own business, which is a crazy jump when you know how to practice law, but you have zero idea how to run your own business. You tell other people how to run their businesses, but you have no idea how to run your own business. And my husband is like, it feels like it's a roller coaster of emotion every day. I was like, yes. Every day I wake up elated, and then 2 hours later, it's like hair on fire and screaming. But it's okay. It's okay to pivot. I pivoted out of the Army into working health and safety for an industrial cleaning company. I pivoted to law school. I pivoted from a larger law firm to a smaller law firm, and then pivoted out to do my own thing. And every single time I have learned something absolutely incredible about myself, about my profession, about what my values are, what my boundaries are. And it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to use all of those skills, right? So if anybody's looking at a career pivot, a life pivot, just do it. I like to say, just do it. Just do it. Sometimes thinking about it too long will hamper you from doing it. Sometimes you just have to take that deep breath and that leap of faith and just do it. Hopefully Nike doesn't come after me for that one.
I don't know, Jasmine. I don't think those are pivots. I think there were some pirouettes in there.
We like to do things fancy. But one of the, and I wouldn't really say it's a pivot, it's more of following passion, was the Ohio Chamber of Commerce for Veterans. So there was a group of four of us who were involved in an organization called Bunker Labs. We were either ambassadors or we were in the Veterans in Residence program with Bunker Labs. And we felt like it was a fantastic program, but we needed something here in Ohio to better support our veteran and military-connected entrepreneurs and community and those folks who wanted to go out on their own within business. So we got our heads together in 2022. We formed, and we spent 2023 doing a little bit of the planning. We may have jumped and then said, well, we'll put the wheels on the cart. Here's the cart. We'll just put the wheels on the cart. And last year we launched, and and myself, Rob Slater, and Tarika Thompson were launched last year. So some of you all, I see familiar faces, you have been either to our monthly mingles or we've run into you in different veteran organizations and veteran events. The Ohio Veteran Conference, we were there last year. And right now we are really still continuing to get the word out, build the support. If anybody would like to be on the board, please let me know. I just stepped away from the board because I stepped out to start my own business, and I felt like it would be a really bad idea to divide my attention. So if anyone is looking to either join or would love to be involved on the board, please let us know.
Okay, that was a cheap shot, making this an advertisement.
I was going to say,
but obviously
we have a table over there. Go to the table. I'm not going to.
Veterans helping veterans is pretty important. But I gotta get to Melodie. So Melodie, I get you pivoted from being the cooking mom, the cooking all that to your own business. But was there some other milestone or something else that drove you to make a big change?
What drove me to make a big change is I did a lot of things. So I did Mother Mills childcare, so I did my own home income daycare. I also sold Mary Kay. I had one of the Mary Kay cars, and so then I worked at the VA for 25 years, and I'm at the Department of Defense at DLA right now. I've been there for 10 years. And it's my time of journey to transition towards retirement. So I needed my plan B. And my pivot was I'm natural at doing what I do since I've been doing it for a long time. And why not turn it into money? Because I was doing it for others, for weddings, anniversaries, football team. And I needed guidance. And so my pivot was I'm going to do this. I'm stepped out, bought the trailer, but now how do I do it? How do I work it? So I sought information. I started with ECDI. With the Women's Business Development Center. Then I went to Columbus State Business Development Center, and then I landed and was on the waiting list for the Urban League Incubate Her program and Accelerate Her program. So they are my mentors through the Accelerate Her program at the Urban League. And once I got there, then I was like, wow, I'm not ready, but I'm going to get ready, and they're getting me ready, and they're continuing to help mentor me, and I have amazing navigators. So I became MBAC certified. So I am MBE, WBE, VBE, and EDGE, and I'm coming up for recertification. And through ECDI, they helped me get my ServSafe license. So they paid for it for the Women's Business Development Center. And I went to every free class that I could go to so I would know how to work the back end of the business, because I knew how to cook. But then the people I purchased my food trailer from, they didn't speak English, so we text each other. And they came and they taught me how to operate the equipment. It wasn't like the equipment in the military. It's different on a food truck. So I had some amazing partners and community advocates. And once the word got out, I just started networking, and I'm having a fantastic time. So Mother Mills Wholesome Diner coming to your space when you call me.
I'm going to back you up, because you were the one in that last question who said you've got to be careful and self-care, take time for self-care. With all that going on, you still make time for self-care.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You must rest. And my husband's like, who are you? Because now I take naps.
I love that. And I'll tell you, you get women, dynamic women like this, and they usually are going like full force, straight ahead, and they frequently, what they give up on is their self-care, and they run themselves into the ground, because, and that's just a thing because we've got to prove ourselves, right? So I love that you have brought that up. Charlynda, did you have a milestone or a pivot point, or was it when you got that recipe and realized your grandfather maybe had greater expectations of you?
Well, I feel like I assigned a lot of value to something that seemed insignificant, and we probably have all been handed something small, and it's the value that we placed on it that made the difference of whether it was a big thing or nothing. But I've had a lot of failure, crash outs, burnouts, you name it, in the years that I've been the founder of Mutt Sauce. But I think that those things also help you. They define you. Very often when I'm consulting small businesses and they're telling me about what they're going through, I said, how much of a blessing is it that you're talking about this pain in past tense? Because there's always going to be a rock bottom. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and it's just how you handle those moments that makes a big difference. There's a couple things that I think about in terms of pivots. One mainly was the pandemic. I mean, recently, there were so many small businesses that were affected by the pandemic, and they didn't know how to adapt and keep going. And myself, I'd asked this question to my mom. I was like, does anybody buy food online? Like, we didn't even sell Mutt Sauce online. We had a website, but we didn't sell online. Because in my head, I thought nobody's going to buy food sit on their phone and buy food. And that's 2020 when I was having this thought, right? So if I continued in that mindset and not adapted to what was clearly a changing in our habits, then we wouldn't have the strong e-commerce footprint that we have now with Mutt Sauce. Shortly after doing that, we were on QVC, and we sold 11 pallets, roughly 4,000 bottles in 10 minutes, right? So, but before that, you back it up. You had to have the crash out and the pivot to say, we're e-commerce now. And then I didn't know, but the opportunity was always there, but you had to be ready for it, right? Also in March 2020, I gave birth to my first son. I was a mom going through all that. And I was so 100 miles an hour that all my friends had given me travel gifts as baby gifts because they knew I was just going to strap that kid on me and keep it moving. But I got the quality time that I probably would have never stopped and realized how precious it was because I was just going too fast. So I would encourage you all to look at the rock bottom moments and say, what is this teaching me? What is the self-care that I can do now? And you mentioned earlier about communication. Really, I don't subscribe to balance. You just have to over-communicate with people who will be affected by what you're doing. Similar to military spouses, that's why I go so hard for military spouses, because they didn't sign up for this. They signed up to love you. They didn't sign up to be all over the place and moving and uprooting their lives. And we have to show the respect to the people who are alongside of us in the entrepreneurship journey, because they didn't wake up saying, I want to sell sauce. But you got to let them feel like they're a part of the team and feel appreciated, even when you have to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning.
I heard there's a trampoline when you hit rock bottom.
Amen.
There may be a book by Charlynda that rock bottom has a trampoline. So I'll do your shameless plug for you.
Thank you. It does.
So I do want to know, because I did a little research and realized that this Mutt Sauce, she had to label it, but people use it as salad dressing. People use it on sandwiches, people use it, but there was a moment where you decided you had to determine what the market was. Why did you decide barbecue sauce?
Well, people get confused when you're pitching to them. If you give them too many options, it just goes over their head, right? And I was in the Goldman Sachs program recently, and they said, you've got to stop calling this specialty sauce. I know you can put it on whatever, but here is the American brain. Is it ketchup? Is it hot sauce? Is it barbecue? Is it salad dressing? What is it? And so I was like, okay, well, let's not confuse them. It is barbecue. with fun stuff.
I love this. So, Melodie, are you, this crazy life that you're leading from the sounds of it, are you finding time to mentor others, to help other maybe veterans or maybe women veterans, or are you just helping everybody? Are you finding yourself in the role of mentor these days?
Everyone I walk into or meet, I end up mentoring in some type of way. So my goal is to incorporate the mentoring piece this year, partnering with Urban League, because they have a program to help mentor young people the ages 14 through 19 and who are interested in becoming a chef or doing what I do, being an entrepreneur. And so that is in the goal set. But the journey is just to have fun and be who you are and let people know it's okay if you feel down for the day, but you have to get up and get going. And don't stay there, and put a smile on your face.
I think once that smile goes on your face, it changes your disposition whether you want it to or not, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Jasmin, have you had an opportunity to reach down? With the Ohio Chamber for Veterans, absolutely. But in your personal life, are you also helping to elevate women, or helping to elevate veterans and helping others be successful?
Definitely, and especially for those folks who they themselves may be looking to start their own solo law firm. I've had many conversations with folks about why I did what I did and why I did it when I did it. And I actually just had a conversation this week with a fellow West Point grad who is looking to leave where he is at. In fact, he has technically left, but is soft launching. And so I got to just send him resources and tell him about the everyday ups and downs. And now being a business owner, I feel like I have a lot more empathy for my clients and understanding not just their legal issues, but some of the more practical, emotional, psychological, intellectual issues that they may be dealing with, so that it helps me craft the approach of what I need to tell them. If it's something that they don't want to hear, instead of just kind of blurting out, hey, this is going to suck, sorry. Understanding that there's a way to tactfully put it in a way that they understand, what the ramifications of the actions or inactions will be. So definitely, and I enjoy teaching folks, and I enjoy folks teaching me about things. And I've learned a lot from other folks that have started their own solo law firms, started smaller law firms. And, I seek that out because I don't know everything. I can't possibly know everything. I love that you said that you ECDI and Urban League, and you sought out those mentors and folks. And I encourage anybody who is looking to either pivot or just do something on their own, find those folks that will help you. Find the mentors, approach those mentors, ask them questions, because you will never, you won't realize just the wealth of knowledge that you'll receive.
I appreciate that, and all three of you have touched on this a little bit. The things we don't think about is you want to follow your passion, you want to do what you love, you want to cook, you want to do law, but the business end of it is the important part of it. That isn't the romantic part, it isn't the sexy part, it isn't the part that you get to show, but it's the hard part, and without that, you're going to be a failure, no matter how passionate you are or how much you love what you're doing. So I love that you all have touched on that a little bit. But Charlynda, so you obviously are really good out there. I didn't realize you're still in the military, which gives you another perspective. So are you helping others and helping to lift them up, particularly maybe our veterans or our women veterans, and all those opportunities to follow some of their passions that they didn't know they had, maybe?
Yes, ma'am. It's an honor to do it, too. I think it's tied to life purpose. I truly believe that we're not here to hoard accomplishments or talent. We're really here to get what we can, but pass it along to someone else before we leave. It's not a long time we're here. And so in passing the baton, the first thing is you got to be okay with being in the room. And there's so many rooms that women and women veterans and people who look like me are not in the room, but when you're given the opportunity, don't be afraid to be the first one. Because you can't break open those ceilings and stuff unless you decide to be the first one. And during the pandemic, two other people Jamaica White and Deborah Rice, who are in the food industry, walked into the same building downtown Dayton saying there needs to be a commercial kitchen. I'm mentoring small business owners through the pandemic as I'm trying to rescue my own business. And I said, there needs to be a commercial kitchen so you can go from your home to a mobile truck, you can go from your home to a brick and mortar, but there is a middle spot. The commercial kitchen is where you can scale your food business without the bills of a brick and mortar. You can prep your items for your food truck and just rent the hours without all the public health stuff. So I knew that, I just didn't know how to build it. They knew how to build it, but they didn't have the business background. So we walked in there as 3 moms with this desire to help others. And now we have one of the largest commercial kitchens in all of Ohio. We raised $4 million in 9 months. Wow. As a new nonprofit, brand new nonprofit. Yeah. But the whole time we're thinking there needs to be something for food founders better than what we're dealing with right now. We were on survival mode, but if we can build a better resource for those food entrepreneurs, that's what we wanted to do.
Man, I never would have thought about that, but I hadn't thought about the progression of how you go from baking cookies in your own oven, in your home, to commercially selling them. And I got to think that first order that came in, how many pallets did you say?
It was 4,000 in 10 minutes.
I mean,
yeah.
Did you panic?
Oh, very much. Oh, yeah. But also what was cool, I was at my house when I did the show. So that you no longer go up to Pennsylvania. They said, open up your laptop, log into Skype, you'll do the show, and then you shut your laptop, and that is it. So there was a lot of coordination beforehand, but having the logistics and all the freight trucks and stuff show up, that was it. That was my part of it, was open my laptop, close it, and that's on. And my son was like, hey, Mama, play with trucks. I'm like, I was just on TV, right? Your mom was on TV. He's like, I don't care. Push this truck. Yeah, Commercial Kitchen is a great resource for food entrepreneurs. And we wanted to make sure that they have financial literacy, because I call it the cupcake charity. They'll come in, they'll be like, my cupcake is the bomb. My catering is the most awesome food you'll ever see. And I'm like, I don't care. Not to be insensitive, but I don't care. Because sweet baby diabetes, not to put you out there, but you can put whatever in a jar, and if your marketing, your processes are there and people can easily shop from you, they will get more sales than your awesome cupcake.
Touché. So Melodie, I'm thinking about this. I'm just stunned with this crazy life that you lead, and I know that you have done. So how does motherhood play into this? Because one of the things you think about when women are trying to do great things, and it's a trap we all fall into. Oh my gosh, are you going to ignore your children? Can you do that with children? Are you going to, what do you do? And it's a trap that we have to get beyond. We as women have to look beyond that and say, no, people can take care of their kids in different ways and still do great things. And I think that you probably are a great person to tell us about how that worked.
Oh, that was so much fun. I was a single mom raising 2 sons, and now they're grown, and I have 10 grandchildren now, 8 of my own and two of my bonus grands with my husband. And so the fun part was, I have the grandchildren, and they act up, and I can't spank them. I'm grandma. So we go into the kitchen, and you're going to cut an onion. So we're going to cook some macaroni and cheese, and we're going to cook some chicken. We're going to make the cornbread, but the whole process of teaching them how to cook, but also giving them discipline, because now you're not my own, and then being the parent of my grown sons, to tell them that I'm going to do this now. And they're like, Mom, it's about time. You've been feeding the neighborhood all your life. You've been feeding the church. You've been doing something for someone else. Do it for yourself. So they helped me along the way. I still have the coolers and the carts and things I put all the food in, and still have they call it the baby pot. My pot was about this tall, about that round, and it was that was where we cooked the greens at. And so I still have that baby pot, as we call it, to cook for the masses. But the military, being in the military, cooking minimum of 3,000 per meal, and starting at 2:00 in the morning, making breakfast and lunch, and then doing 10 days on and 2 days off. I'm just accustomed to working those hours of being in food service, because you don't get time off. You have to make sure it's right. but having fun doing it. And so my food is health conscious casual cuisine. So I don't have the unhealthy food. So my target audience is my diabetic population and my heart healthy conscious population of people, of where my food that I'm preparing is for that audience.
I love that. And to think that you're so successful with a food cart that has healthy food. I love that, because that's not normally what we find when we have the food truck Thursdays down here on the summer nights. But I do have to say that 37 years in the Army, some of the best meals I ever ate were cooked by the Army chefs, the Army cooks, and all that. But you don't have to clean up. You have KPs that come in and clean up your mess for you.
Well, we had to clean up. I was the one that had to instruct the cleaners, so you're cleaning with them.
Fair enough. But I will tell you, grandchildren do have a great influence. That's how I learned how to make tie-dye waffles, was from grandchildren. So the things you don't think about, they can do that for. So Jasmin, I would say that the business you're in is kind of you don't get to always determine your hours kind of thing. And I see you have an incredible young woman here that you're raising. So how are you able to balance all that, and how's that influencing your entrepreneurial abilities to start your own business?
I would say I have a little bit more flexibility now, but that's where being very mindful of my time, being very, very deliberate with my time, because there's only so much time I have for work, and then the time that I have for children. My husband is a wonderful reminder. He reminds me quite often, like, hey, they're only here for a certain amount of time. I mean, I've got, my daughter here today with me, and she, she started coming with me to events because I want her to see and experience. That's something that I got to see. My stepfather ran his own business, and my mom was his secretary. So we saw firsthand maybe not how a business was run, but how someone put their passion and poured that into a business, and how they brought their family with them and, put up those boundaries and time for family. So I try to do the same. I may not always succeed, but the great thing about it is I have a fantastic husband and a fantastic partner, and we are in this together because we know that, like you said, Charlynda, passing on that knowledge, this is knowledge that we're passing on to them so that they can take it forward. And if they want to start their own businesses someday and be entrepreneurs, they at least have some examples of good, bad, ugly, and everything in between. And they have some tools in their kit bag, right, to be able to go forth and do that. And plus, I like hanging out with my kids. My daughter's at the age now where she understands what's happening. She may not still know what I do. She was at a legal conference for 3 days, and she was like, so what is happening? What are we doing? What's going on? What do all these people do? And I was like, they all do different parts of law. And she was like, okay, cool, and went back to her tablet.
I love it. Now, I got to say, Charlynda, starting a business with a brand new baby in COVID, I mean, that's a lot of balancing act. So what were the things that got you through, and what did you learn from that others might still benefit from, though hopefully we'll never go through COVID like that again? And I wouldn't recommend having a baby just as you're starting a new business, but you figured it all out. What created the environment that you could have that success?
I would just say Faith, my mother, and my mental health provider. That was just a wild time. But to me, it was bittersweet because I got to slow down and spend the time with my child. I wasn't 100 miles an hour and on the road and planes and stuff. So that precious newborn phase, it was just me and my mom and dad in the house for like the first year. And you can never buy another minute of time. There's no amount of money that will replace the quality time. And even you see Steve Jobs, right? He had all the money in the world, and he said, if I could just have more time, that's what he wanted. And so I look at that in day to day, and I time block like a madman. Jasmin hinted at it, is you can make time for whatever you care about. And sometimes I think we forget you can make time for family. It doesn't have to be a 5 o'clock meeting or a Zoom. When people see my calendar, it looks like it goes till 7, but it's blocked every day from 5 to 7 for my son. I don't care what else is going on. I'm playing Legos. that's what we're doing. That is his time in my day.
I love that when I was the adjutant general, I would put GGs on my calendar, and it was sacred. That meant grand girls. And my staff all knew that, leave it alone, that's Gigi time. So, and I'm not called Gigi, but it was just stood for grand girls, so they knew it. So I get that. And I think that that is important to schedule that time in for your family or for what's important. And right now it's fitness. I mean, I would get up at 4:30 in the morning to get my workout in if Jared's making me hit the road early. It's just because that's important to me. So you just figure out what those important things are, and you block the time. So did being a veteran, were you able to pull in any resources, or were there opportunities for you because you were veterans? Let's start down with Melodie again.
No, yes and no. Being the veteran, I was able to go to, I went to a couple of the SBA classes to learn more, and that was through ECDI, they offered it. But just the Urban League was more of my guide to find the other resources that were present. And, but being a veteran has afforded me other opportunities to put me ahead of being noticed, and being a woman veteran has put me ahead for people like, I want to support you. I want to support because you served. And I am glad that I served and was honored to serve and defend and learn all that I have learned. So it's the opportunities that I get to share to tell others when they tell me they want to start their business, of the resources that are available. And that's when you were wanting to start a business. A lot of people don't know about the resources that are available to them to get started. They have an idea, but they write it, and then I tell them, write it down and make it plain, but now let's put it into action. But how do you do that? It's always encouraging to someone you need a mentor. You can't do this alone. You cannot do it alone. You must have people. People need people, and people support people. And no matter if you're a man or a woman or whatever it is that you are doing, just having that support and knowing someone is supporting you. And if you don't know that someone's supporting you, just know that you have a higher calling and a higher being that's there with you.
I love it. And I do think it's relationship. I mean, the real estate people tell you it's something else, but not. So let's jump around here a little bit. Charlynda, so did your veteran status or still serving military status, has that been a resource? Have resources come to you, or have opportunities come to you because of that?
Definitely opportunities, and I think Ohio is really great at helping veterans. I have to give them their props. As I've seen in the Dayton Arcade, we have Small Business Development Center. There's all these veteran resources if you just go one block. But in my journey, I'm a Shark Tank reject. I don't know if you guys knew that. I got epically rejected at Shark Tank.
Is there a more gentle way to say that than reject? I don't know.
Felt like rejection. But I was only 6 months in business. I'd only owned my business for 6 months when I got to Hollywood. And they told me to keep going. And I kept going. And 4 years later, now I wanted to pitch to Damon John. He was a shark that I really hoped would understand my journey, having a single mom and everything, and empathize and sympathize, really, with the hard work. 4 years later, Bob Evans decides to be the first corporation to do a nationwide contest for veteran entrepreneurs. And they're going to pick 3, and those grand prize winners were going to get funding and mentorship. And I applied on the last day and was one of the 3 grand prize winners.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was $25,000, and they said, your mentor is Damon John.
Wow.
So they weren't playing around. I was just like, they have no idea how awesome this is. That's why I say just wait, because whatever's for you is for you. You just got to be patient. But that was the thing. They understood that veterans have in them what it takes to be a great leader in a business. They just cut them the check and give them that small bit of direction that they need, and they'll get the job done. So that was one of the first opportunities, I think. And then along the way, just having great mentors. My mentor, John Suter, he is with SCORE, and they have a lot of resources on their website for veterans as well.
Awesome story. So Jasmin, what about about you? So law's kind of a unique way, a unique business. But were there opportunities that came your way because of your prior military service and because you were a veteran, or did you have resources because of that?
Yeah, so I think as we're talking, my exposure to a lot of these resources that both these ladies have taken advantage of has been because I was a veteran. And so getting involved as both a lawyer, and so either providing mentorship or presentations in these organizations like Bunker Labs, IVMF, and VBOC, and those types of organizations. So for me, when I have questions, I now know who to go to, whereas a lot of veterans are kind of circling and saying, I don't know who to go to, I don't know who to talk to, I don't even know where to start. It's one of the other reasons why we started the chamber, so that folks can at least have a starting point. And we were not designed to have all the answers. It was to say, this is the person who has the answer to your question. This is the person who has the answer to your question. This is the person in your area, and have a little bit more of that warmer handoff. So my advantage has been more, I know the resources to go to when I have an issue or have a problem or have a question, or if a client of mine has an issue and a question. So in a way, that's made me not just the legal voice, but also helping them go a little bit further and helping them find those resources. So truly being, having a relationship and being a partner in what they're doing.
I love it, and I think entrepreneurship to me is scary. For me, it's like that. I know I wouldn't know how to enter into that. But it seems like you each had a bit of a dream. Your dream, I think, was somewhat thrust on you, Charlynda. Maybe not the course you had to take, but once it was laid out there. But it seems like you all three just jumped in without hesitation. That I think that I would have, because I've always been in a more structured environment. And you come up in the military; it's a very structured environment, and it fascinates me that you all have taken these leaps of faith and sometimes stumbled, sometimes hit that trampoline when you bottomed out or at the rock bottom, and sprung forward to make a difference. And I admire that greatly. And I knew that, am I allowed to say a bad word here? I knew that I was going to be really fascinated with these three women. But I would tell you that I think is, although you've each done incredible things in your field, just taking that leap of faith and being willing to do that, it makes me awestruck, a little bit of the three of you and what you've been able to do. But I would like for you to, I'd like to have a little bit of time for questions at the end. So let's go through, and what advice would you give? Okay, let's play all the cards. As a woman, or as a veteran, or as an Ohioan, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to take that leap of faith, that scary step off the ledge, and be an entrepreneur? Melodie. I do this. Wait a minute. Let's do that. I've done that to you too many times. Make you the first person. Is that okay? Okay.
I would say you have to make your vision plain. You must write it down, and then you have to work on it. And then it's not a opportune time. It's just today is the time. Don't wait. Time waits on no one. We all have 24 hours in a day. And so what are you going to do with your 24 hours in your day? And how are you going to make the most of your life right now? Because most of us have more years behind us than we do ahead of us. So for those few years ahead of you, are you going to live them with purpose? And what is your purpose? Are you going to fulfill your purpose? So begin your purpose and ask somebody, tell somebody, because keeping it in your head and not sharing that's your story or your want and your why, and know your why, you must begin to do that. So go to someone. If you're your husband, your girlfriend, your neighbor, your pastor, just tell somebody. And once you tell them, ask them, what do you think? And it doesn't matter what they think, because you know what you're going to do. And just begin to do it and reach out, and always have a mentor, because you cannot, and it's not able to do this alone. You must have someone to support. You need people, you need a community, and you need partners. And your partners are people who are around you that you don't know that is going to be there for you.
Love it. Jasmin?
Bet on yourself.
Ooh.
Bet on yourself. I forget where I heard it, but it said women statistically or exponentially more likely to wait until they've checked all the boxes to do something, either to become an entrepreneur, to run for office, to get into the workforce again, any of those things. You don't have to check all the boxes to start to do it. Bet on yourself. Now have that plan, definitely have that plan, right? Have that plan, but bet on yourself. Because you will be surprised, especially as a veteran, especially as a woman, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as a human being, what you yourself can withstand, what you yourself can recover from, and pushing yourself into those levels of being uncomfortable. I am now uncomfortable every single day, and I am so incredibly happier for it, because every day I get to prove to myself what my limits are, and my limits are always farther than what I expect them to be. So bet on yourself. You would be surprised what you can do.
That's a takeaway. Charlynda?
I don't know if I can follow that one up. That is,
I'm gonna get that on hats. You want that on a hat? Okay.
I would say if you believe in something bigger than yourself, rock bottom has a trampoline. And that is now my life mantra, because I look at everything that I've been through from childhood to now. It's like everything that has happened to you was meant to help you become the person that you need to be for whatever vision is in your head. And you were born with everything that you need to get everything that you've ever wanted. There's nothing magical you don't have to buy. You see those influencers now that they need the equipment and the lighting and all. There are people who have changed their whole family's trajectory and broke generational curses with an iPhone. Right? So it's a matter of mindset and your determination to become that thing that you've always wanted to become, to be the person you've always wanted to be, to have the life you've always wanted to live. It's just the determination to do it and taking that scary step and making it happen. 1 minute video could change your life. But at the same time, it's the speed of determination, and that's what John Suter told me. I said, how long does it take to start a sauce company? Because good grief, I mean, there's so much paperwork and manufacturers. And he said, the speed of determination, however determined you are to make this happen, is how fast it will happen. So if you think it'll take you 4 years, it'll take you 4 years. If you think it'll take you 4 months, it might take you 4 months. We started with a piece of paper to what people see right now in 4 months while I was on active duty. If you just remove all the excuses, I'm tired, I don't have enough money, I don't have the right lighting, it'll happen.
I can't wait to lay this groundwork for my grandchildren, because you women are incredible. I have a few minutes here. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask of these really inspirational women? Wow. Okay, Fred, let me bring you the microphone here. I could tap dance on my way there, tell dad jokes.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. Extraordinarily, inspirationally motivating and fascinating. You three are a prime example of taking that military experience and applying it to, as you said, being a human being and everything that becomes a part of us, that adaptability, that inner fortitude of tackling something that you don't know how to do, being thrust into it, and that experience of the military experience teaching you that that's okay. I can feel comfortable with that. It's just an inspiration. I commend you so much.
Thank you.
I agree. So we think there are 67,000 women veterans in Ohio. 67,000 women veterans, and we don't know where they are. We know some. We have a couple thousand out there that we stay in touch with, but we need to reach out and find them, because they need to hear stories like this. An Army cook, a West Point graduate, and a currently still serving Air Force officer. I mean, we really have to get the word out that women have opportunities in Ohio, in particular our women veterans. So if you know women veterans, I would like for you to get them connected with us at ohiovets.gov is a good starting point, and get on our list for that. I have some thank yous I have to give today, mostly to these incredible women that I couldn't wait to meet. I want to thank my fellow cabinet member and director, Madden. Thanks so much for being here today. And I know a number of the other cabinet members sent representatives. Thank you so much for being here for this. Thanks to Capitol Square and Advisory Board, Mike Rupert, Angela Glick, and the entire team here at the State House to let us use this incredible room for this. This is fabulous. It's befitting of the beauty of the women that are here today, I would say. Our event coordinator, Ali Agmar, did a great job of making this, putting this all together. Thank you, Ali. The Ohio channel for live streaming us. Hello to my husband who's watching us online. Our guests, the veterans organizations that are here from so many, don't want to go through them, but lastly, thanks to our amazing panel and to my staff that found you all to bring you to us. And I took a little bit of time to look into all of you. I'd known Jasmin already, but to hear what the rest of you are doing, I have just been really admiring where you've come from, and I'm looking to see where you're going to go next and where you're going to. I have a feeling that you are going to be leading women in Ohio, and then there'll be and by the way, she's a veteran. So thank you so much, and thank you for joining us here today. Have a great day. And I should say thank you to my family. My sister and brother-in-law came and surprised me for this. Thanks so much.